So let's understand how can we write a script which is which can actually first perform this so and so. So I have to write a script which can provide the following options, and once any of the following thing, if it is asking about working with Windows services and everything, if I'm going to list that, if I'm choosing this option, this things has to show up. If I'm choosing this option, this following things has to show up. If I'm choosing this option, this following things has to show up. And if I'm choosing exit, so it has to come out of it. Otherwise, it has to keep asking me. So how do I write the script? So first do while, and I'll ask for input read host, provide your choice, and then I'll actually go for the following things. So I'll use the same thing here to first print the values. Now I'll go for D exit, and here I'll ask for one, or I can go for A itself. Let me go for B and say provide your choice, and okay, this one has not been ended, so be careful. If it is not ending, it will create some issues. So this is done, and now I'll say if I have chose this option A, then this things has to print out. If I'm choosing option B, this things has to print out. If I'm choosing option C, this has to print out. Now if value input equals A, or else if, so I'll first complete the conditions. It's more easier first if you complete the logical reasoning way. So if I say Fay, it will try to do whatever it was mentioned there. It is C, then this is one, or else exit. So here I'll keep a condition that if val is not equals D, if it is not equals D, it will rerun again. And here if I'll mention if value input is not equals is in A, comma B, comma C. If it's not in, comma null. Okay. Then we'll mention provide the right output. Provide the correct input. And I'll mention write error. So if we now we'll try to run this, and if you see There is no val input, so obviously this will never run. Otherwise it will ask, and here I'll mention as n so that it will go to a new line and this will print, or otherwise I'll go for this one for a new line, and here in new line. Now you know, if I say, now you can go and check your condition. You have to always check your condition before you always writing. So I wrote this condition, so I'm just checking here. You are at A. Now similarly we will try to check the same thing. You're at B. You're at C. Now we'll ask to do this. So if it is, unless it is D, it will never come out, it will be there, and it is satisfying this logic which we have. So unless you choose the exit, it will keep, has to loop, and it has to keep asking you every time. So this logic is working out. Now if you see, I ask A, so it said you are at A. So I have to mention here mm, mm, mm. Keep a new line. I'll keep a new line here and a new line here. Okay, so that it will always say it's you're at this one, and it ran, and again it was went into a loop. If I give B, it will say you're at B, C, you're at C. So it is working accordingly. Now if I give D, it is coming out of it. Great. So it's my logic is working. The primary logic of what this has to print, and then if I give a choice, it has to go and list this list, or go this. The primary logic was satisfying. Now I'll go into this each of it. So this has to show up. So I'll just replicate the same thing here, copy this, I'll paste it here. Now first what I have to mention, uh, services. Yeah. Now I'll mention here list of all running services here, and similarly fetch here, and this one here, and then option exit D. Now I'll use the same logic. This is the same logic, right? I'll use it here. But here, this is going to be another value variable. So options value, and I'm going to just change this, and I'll mention not this. So I'll mention this. You're at option A point A, A point B, A point C. I didn't go inside what exactly it is asking. Okay, I'll do that later on. So primary logic, I'll try to satisfy. Uh, but even this should go as a loop. So if this is, first I'd write a do loop and then a while loop inside this, and I'll copy this options val and not equals D. And now I'll copy this, I will paste it here. fine that you didn't get the logic this way. You have to get habituated. So you have to try to practice this. The same logic which we have done. So first it goes there, it'll ask services, then it will list all these things. It'll ask a choice. In that, if you're asking A, so it will say A point A and everything. Now let's test this logic whether it is working properly or not. Clear this. So previously it was there. So here first thing, so when I ran this one, value input equals null, and similarly option value equal to dollar null. Now when I try to run this, now I will not face any errors. I'm sorry, it's just because I didn't exit out of it. So it is asking me provide, I'll go for services. Now it is saying you're inside services, list all the services running status. Now if I say A, now it will say you're at A point A. So that whatever it is asking, actually it has to list. That will get back to it at this point of time. The logical looping has to be completed. Then you say B, you are at A point B. You are at C, you are at C A point C. And if you're saying D, it will come out of that services loop, and it has to come back to the main loop. This one. So it has came out of this, but this one main, it's again asking whether you want services event log and everything. Now we have to do the similar the way we have done for services. We have to do it for event log process and everything. So I'll come out of it right now, and everything is clear. Now I'll copy the same logic because this is the same logic. Only thing, the functionality inside of each one of them has changed. So here I'll use do while. And here instead of services, I have to mention event log. So same thing. Uh, okay. Now we'll just copy the same thing event log का जो भी है. What is the event log? This one. List all the latest 25 error events. And then similarly this one. So try to use Visual Studio Code Editor. It is more easier. And I'll copy this. Exit. All this is good. Now it should say B point A, B point B, B point C. You're choosing based on this. Now the same thing, I'll use the same logic in the else. So there's a huge difference. You writing one by one or you completing the main logic. So first, if you remember, I completed do while logic, then I satisfied the main logic, and I completed the if else if logic, and then I tried first executing one thing. So I was checking all the while I was checking whether is that working properly or not, and everything. Then I was executing. So you have to think, you have to imagine the output flow, how that goes. Why could actually I think? Because this is because of the output flow. I was able to imagine the I was able to think when I'm running the script, I know this is how the output flow is. And accordingly, what is the first command which has to execute as per the output flow is what I'll think and accordingly write. So related to process, you are at Windows process. I'll mention will say C point A, C point B. Why? So I run this script. It has to whether the main logic is not about first getting the at least this output. This way of flow should be there. And now I'll try to run this script and it should work properly. So if you say it said working with Windows services and everything. So if I choose A, now it is asking related to you are at Windows services, list all the services with uh, running status and everything. Mm, so if I say A, say A point A, you're at A point A, and it reran this list. So here if I give C, then A point C. If I click D, exit, so it goes to back to main menu, and you're working with Windows services, working with event log. So I'll go for B. So it should mention the event whatever it is. So option B will has to go for this one. So that is what it has printed. Now if I go for option A here, it will ask me you're at B point A. If I say B, you're at B point B. You're at C, it is B point C. Now if I give D, it goes out of that and it comes to back to this main menu. And C, if I give the processes, it is asking all the process names. So if I give A, C point A, C point B, and then C point C. Now if I give D, it goes back to the main menu and it goes back to this. Now let's do the same thing here. So here I'll do one of the smart ones are, I'll also mention you're at main menu. And similarly, I'll mention that here. This is good. Now let's go for each logic. I wanted to serve list all the services which are running. So what are the commands? Get hyphen service will get me all the services which are running and stopped. Now in that one, I have to uh, get the services which are so running. So here I go for the column name is status equals running. So only running services will be listed. Cool. So we see all the services which are running. So I'll just copy this command. So instead of writing, I'm executing and just checking them. So I'll paste that here. And I'll mention that here. Now similarly, I'll fetch all the services with a specific display name. It should be a wildcard test. So if it's a prefix, then it's fine. Wildcard prefix, then it was fine. Or if it's a wildcard search, so what I'll do here is fetch all the services with a specific display name. So it has to ask for service. So okay, text search. So I'll name this as variable as this, and I'll say read host, and I'll mention that provide the display name, and then I'll give the logic. So the same thing, and here display name should have anywhere uh, text search, and this should work. Now same thing here, but it is specifically a name, and I'll copy this. So I need to give a space because it doesn't matter here. Provide the service name. You have to follow this etiquettes, very important. Because of the coding etiquettes, the spacing and everything, it just made my job way easier in terms of writing it, all that. Okay, so if you see right now, I just wrote in 80 pages, 80 lines. But if you go, we started it from scratch with do while, then writing from if else and checking write output and everything. Is it working accordingly? Am I passing the right value or not? So we are looking at all those and then we are confirming it. So if you wanted, we can even this provide your option, put val. Now let's do this process also. So this is the way to go it, but it's easier. Get hyphen process, list all the process with a specific process name. So it's listing all the processes and the name is process name. So the same thing. We'll go here, we'll copy this and we'll say list all the process with a specific name. And I'll say I'll copy this. And then I'll say get process, get hyphen process, and I'll say name, process name, right? It was process name. I'll go and check whether it's working accordingly or not. Win. And I have with win, wherever I could actually see a process name, wildcard test, I was able to get it. Okay, this is working. Now the same thing, list all the process between lower limit and upper limit handles. So if you see, these are the handles, I guess. That is the upper limit handle. So if we get process and say format list and say win, these are the handles. So it's, I think it was more of the amount of RAM it was consuming. So anything between this so and so upper limit of the handles. So I will take, so it was asking to provide the upper limit and lower limit of the handles. So here I'll say I will take two values. Okay. lower handle limit provide the upper handle limit, and similarly lower upper handle limit. So here, what should I look for? Get hyphen process. So I get this. Okay, where hyphen object is the right one to use, and I will say here handles, right? If I see handles, so as referring format list, it's more easier to do that. So handles I just got, it's greater than lower handle limit, and again handles less than uh, upper hand limit. So let's try. Lower is 300, 250, and upper is 500. So these are all the services which are there in this. So here, if you wanted to get that, the proper one, so here I can actually say format list or select object property, uh, process name property is process name, comma, handles. Just a second, guys. Now we'll try to get the handles and everything, process name, and it's more easier to do it. Okay, so I'll run the same command right now. So these are all the processes and their handles, which are between the 250 and 500. So this is also working, the upper limit and the lower handle limit and everything. Now the same thing, processing, but we need it in a descending order. Am I right? If you see, they are coming in the random order. Now what do you do for that? Sort object. What object you sort? Handles, and you mention descending. Let's see. It should show in descending order, means below 500, say it, whatever it is, it should show. So it starts with 500, say lesser, and it was going in this one. So we use the commands called where object to first filter between the lower limit and upper limit, and then we use the select object to properly show us what exact values we only wanted to make our decisions and everything. Then I use sort object to actually use the descending one and everything. Now similarly, let's see, sort all the processes which are at with the process ID in a descending order. Now how would I do that? Here I would say sort all the Windows process and everything. The process ID. So do I see a process ID? And here there is an ID, process ID. So it's with for ID as a column name. So here I have to do is provide the ID. Now, if you see my terminologies of using the variables also is a bit different. See, as we are administrative side, we are not we don't need to be worried of memory consumption and everything. But yeah, if you're trying to write an application code, this is not the right way of appropriate code. And to make things easier and more less more simplistic, I was trying to follow this style of making you guys understand. Provide the process ID and then say get hyphen process. I'll use a where condition only, or I can actually say where object and I say wildcard ID is equals all the processes with a process ID in descending order. Okay, there is no need of process. Okay, there is no need taking a value. It is just have to print. So get process and we have to just use sort object and I'll say ID descending. And if you wanted only select object, only specific one, which is process name comma ID, then it is easier more. So let's try it. There it is, process name and process ID, and it was giving in the descending order of the IDs. Yeah, so it is working. Now let's try to run the script. I know I haven't gone with the Windows lock, but for the time saving and everything, so I go with A. It's asking me all the services, so it's listing all the running services. Now it came back to the services menu, and I'm asking B, so it's asking me to provide the Win. So it was with Win, whatever the names are there, those with display name that has come up. And now if I go with C, and again I give Win, so these are the service names which are working out. Then but see the values are not showing up. That is because I didn't use there. This one is what I have used, but I have to mention here select object status comma uh, first name status name and a display name. Now if I try running this, it's more appropriate. Okay, but that's fine. So now I'm done with this one, so I'll go exit from this, but I came back to main menu and now I go with C and I asked to list all the process with a specific process name. Now I go for win and all the values have came up, but this is coming in this format list format. I can ask it to be coming under format table. So it comes in a tabular format the way it is coming. So instead of this way, it will come in the tabular format. This is a list format. And now similarly, if I go with C, so it has just gave this entire thing, but it is not, it's giving in the list format, it is fine. Only thing is you have to just mention format table. That's how we do this. Okay. So try doing this. I'll paste this code in the GitHub. You can refer this.